It's not
about
true
it,
at
though.
all.
We're live.
Oh, wow.
It's alive.
We have a lot of people today. This is awesome.
Wait, how many people do we have?
I mean, enough to fill up the Hollywood stars here.
We need one more for the full the full what's
full
it, Brady bunch?
Yeah. Guilt for Godfrey.
And the ones in the squares at the bottom just do this, just kind of like.
The Brady
Look,
bunch.
Is
Okay.
it random? I think it's random where you get positioned. Like it's not the same on everyone's screen, is it? Or is it?
I
Like,
don't
can
know.
I high
Stream
five
is-
Wade?
is-
Yeah.
Yeah.
No!
For
I can
everyone
move you-
listening to
I can move you
audio,
guys
we're
around.
we're trying to high five our video, which is weird.
Imagine a box. For those of you on audio, I got you.
Oh my god, it is funny though because I'm sure some people listen to it, driving in the car or whatever, and we're like laughing about us trying to high five video squares here, and no one's getting it.
For those on audio, a high five is a social gesture where you hold your hand up. And then someone else also, there's also, the social convention of too slow, down low. It's very confusing.
All of it's pretty confusing. Yes. So
All
What podcast is this?
The high five.
Is
talking
this,
about
is
the
this,
fives.
Is this keyboard
Talking about the
fanatics?
fives.
Oh, my bad. Wrong podcast.
Yes.
Ready to start it off, Ralph?
I don't even know what we're talking about, but let's go.
All right, let's do it. Let's swing it.
Welcome to Black Hills Information Security, talking about the news. I'm your host today, Ralph May, and we're joined by an all-star cast and almost celebrity stars. Who do we got here? We got BST Bandit. Thank you for joining.
Oh, thank you for having me. Ow!
We got Corey. I don't know how he got in here. We got Wade. We totally invited him. We got Ben. What's up, Ben?
Hello.
You haven't been on in a while.
No, I've been doing work, been busy.
Busy.
Why?
We,
Not today,
Terrible.
we got Serena. Welcome again. And we got Ryan, who makes me sound good, I think, or look good. I'm not sure. All of that's not true.
I edit
you're
things
looking
out that you say later on.
Perfect. We got Mike. What's up, Mike?
How's it going?
It's going good. So no cybersecurity news. We're gonna close it out now. Nothing happened.
All right, thanks for coming.
Oh man, I am B straight. I am actually teaching a class right now. I haven't had a chance to look at any of these articles. So does someone else want to start off with some news that they want to talk about, or some crypto or security news?
I think we can start off with Serena taking the stage on. Let's just get that out of the way, shall we, Serena?
Let's leak some apps. Let's
We should
go
talk
full.
about the elephant in the room.
And we're just going right for the elephant, and I didn't even start it. So Ryan did.
Yeah, let me pull up the article. So if you follow me on Twitter or TikTok, this weekend that I was specifically talking about an app that I saw on TikTok that had gone viral multiple times. And I've actually been talking about this application since May is when I did my first video about it, because I got the okay, perfect. You already got the article. Okay. The reason that it sounded suspicious to me is because the founder had been making videos claiming to be the first period tracking application to do end-to-end encryption. And this did not sound right to me.
What app is this, Serena?
This is called the Stardust Period Tracker. So the thing that bothered me about this was because she said that this end-to-end encryption would basically anonymize all of your data, but then if you listen to her closely, it was only your login data and not your actual data. And I had concerns on why they were storing your data if all of it was anonymized. and you're not paying for it, and they hadn't really been clear on how they were making money off the app, but they claim to not sell data, but they don't have a subscription or model or donations. So the whole thing was like very interesting to me with their, I think a lot of people heard end-to-end encryption and just was like, oh, it's encryption, like all my data's safe. And I was like, yeah, not necessarily. Especially if they're only encrypting your login information, but forgetting things like in their privacy policy, they specifically said like, one, they collect your IP address, they collect your mobile service provider information, they collect your unique device identifiers for whatever device you're using to log into the app. And I was like, all of that information can be tied to you that isn't necessarily tied to the login.
I mean, it might be end-to-end encrypted, but what if the other end is shady? Right? Like, you're one end. What's the other end? If it's like, data mining, when you're just encrypting your data and it's still being mined, right?
Right. So that was my concern. And then the problem is that they were like turning off comments on Instagram. They weren't answering any of my comments.
Oh yeah.
They
Shadiness.
weren't answering anything on Twitter. And then when they did come out with more information on Twitter, they're like, oh, we have an encrypted wall. And I was like, I've never heard of that before. Like, can you elaborate on what an encrypted wall is?
Oh God. It's also astrology. Why do you need that? Like, Mercury's in retrograde. I'm gonna I'm not a huge astrology person. People get into it, but it is worth noting this is the #1 period tracking app on the App Store. So it's not just some random like small time like weird niche app. It's probably got millions of users.
Yeah, these videos have millions and millions of views. Of course, my videos do not compare, and my tweets don't compare to the views that they're getting, and all these people are downloading it. But I was like, this still seems suspicious because like with end-to-end encryption, another example that I had brought up was like LastPass or OnePass. And I'm like, they offer end-to-end encryption for if you want to share across multiple devices, but they usually charge you like a premium fee for that, right? So I'm like, how are they making money?
Yeah.
They would not answer that question on how they're making money if they're not selling data, they're not taking donations, and you're not paying like a subscription fee or a fee for the application.
Yeah, that sounds super fishy, right? Like there's no free lunch, whatever it is, right? So there's got to be some model or plan, right? Now, what that plan is, that's speculation, but it definitely should give you a cause for pause here to be like, well, what do they want then, right?
Well, and if you compare them with other security or privacy focused applications like Signal or DuckDuckGo, they have all that information clearly available on their website, like how they encrypt the data, where the data is stored, how they make money, and all that. So like all that information on these privacy focused apps is available for people to ask questions, pick at it, look through it, and decide for themselves instead of just using like buzzwords like encryption, which can mean a bunch of different things. So that was my concern. And then luckily, BHIS ended up picking up this because it is the #1 period tracker on the App Store now, but I'm not convinced that it is as secure as they're leading on. And I would like to note that this is a small startup. They are VC backed. And there's only 3 people total at the entire company. So I was like, who's doing who's doing the coding and security stuff? And then you have like Google.
They have that magic security wall, and it does everything.
Encryption wall.
But I have a
Well,
question.
how does it work? Do they just stick your information on the wall and then it just becomes encrypted? I think that's how technically. I mean, I'm not very technical, but it sounds legit.
Well, and here's the other question is, are they keeping this off of, say, Europe's store if they're not going ahead and relating to GDPR?
This is all US based.
Yeah, but are they stopping people based on location if they're out in Europe?
Oh, I see what you're
from
saying.
downloading the app? If the app is still available in the European app stores, then it still has to go ahead and follow GDPR, I would think.
I'm not sure it's available on the European stores. I know it is available for the US stores. I'm not sure about European, and it's not available for Android yet. Oh, and the kicker is, by the way, this encryption doesn't start until like the 29th. So all these people are downloading the app and transferring their data over from their old applications to this new one, and this encrypted wall hasn't even started
The
yet.
wall isn't even built.
They
We gotta
haven't
build the
built the
wall.
wall?
Not
Oh my
built
God.
yet.
No, I mean the other thing people were getting frustrated about is it said their privacy policy originally said that they would comply with law enforcement or legal process requests, whether legally or not required. Like whether legally required or not. Like which
you
I don't
ask
know what
nicely.
I don't really know what that means. Does that mean like if I just send them a request, this was their original policy, which they changed like after, they got exploded on the internet. They changed their policy to only when legally required. And of course, it will remain anonymous. We won't figure out how to mine your data with an algorithm that we're
So-
like the product is probably that algorithm that figures out how to de-anonymize.
Yeah. I think
Well,
it's interesting
and-
too, because if you think about like when Facebook started and other things like that, like it was free, like, and they didn't have like a monetization model set up, right? Like that wasn't. They were just like, it's cool, but they figured that out later, right? Because it got big and so on and so forth, right? But this sounds more of like a VC startup where they want to just get cool first. They want to be the number one in the store, and then their plan, the monetization is next, right? And the question is it data? Is it what? What is that, right? In Facebook's example, it was absolutely all of your data, right? Like, spoiler alert. But anything that's free is not really free. And as soon as you asked them about security, it was like, we have a magic wall. They just started making stuff up, and they didn't even have it yet. They were like, we're going to invent a magic wall.
The subtext here, I think the subtext here, and Serena, feel free to jump in, but the subtext is everyone's as scared about privacy in this space right now. Everyone's like, I want to be anonymous. I don't want to be data mined by my state that has this aggressive law and is going to like track people down and beat them up. And this is taking advantage of that in a negative way, right? It's saying like, oh, are you worried about this? Come over here where everything's fine. And then of course it's like, oh, I'm over here now and it's exactly the same. Great. Like,
yeah. Well, and what's frustrating about that is there are applications that are open source that only store data locally that people can use, but they're not getting the attention that this other company is getting. The two other points I want to make. One, I had archived their privacy policy and website prior to them changing anything on their website. So that's available on like way back. I put it on there. But then also number two was that they're like, oh, well, we want to keep your data so that you can share it with your friends. And I was like, and you upload your contacts, by the way, to this application so you can find which of your friends are on this application.
Why?
As a uterus haver, I don't want to share it, but maybe there's someone who does.
incoming friend request from Texas. Do you approve?
Maybe there's some family planning aspects that might be beneficial.
Okay.
However, the case here is where, well, what if they have your phone, right? Like, what if law enforcement had your phone? If it is only password protected, you cannot be compelled because of the Fifth Amendment, from my understanding, if it is a password. So you don't have to give them your password. But your friend who you've shared your information with does not have that same protection, right? So they would have to give that information if you shared it with them. And they're not clearly lining out that information either, which I feel like most people don't really know that. And especially like younger women probably don't know that. So these were my concerns.
So, okay. Also, isn't there a native cycle tracking within the iOS health? Like, why do you need astrology added into it? Do you need someone to be like, you're going to be really positive this month. You're going to be really awesome. You're a Taurus and you can do this. Like, why does anyone need that? I guess is my question.
Say what you will about Apple, but they've also like taken a stand against like denying access to users' data for like law enforcement or governmental overreach in general. I mean, going back to like the San Bernardino stuff years ago.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. I don't know. Use the built-in stuff on your iOS device if you have one, or even I'm sure there's something on Android that, like Serena said, is local and is password protected and is not trying to mine your data for profit and sell you ads about all that stuff.
I mean, timing apropos, right? But still, no matter what the app is, like you should question what they're collecting and what their purpose is, like as a business, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And
people are totally going to take advantage of this, and everyone should be. People are going to take advantage of it's like anything else in cybersecurity. When news happens, people try to take advantage of it to pull users to their platform or to distribute malware, whatever they're trying to do, they'll take advantage of it for their own personal gain. And it sucks, but that's just the world we live in.
Yeah. I would like to point out that there was another app that people were talking about called Flow. And I looked up Flow, and they just settled an FTC case for sharing your data with Facebook and Google and others that they did not have listed on their privacy policy that they weren't disclosing to people.
Yes.
So I was like,
Oh my goodness.
This is,
God.
I mean, just think about it. Like any of these, this is ripe for abuse, right? Like what, any of these, like
The incentives.
Yeah. It just, arguably so, right? Any health data could be,
It's called a tracker. It's literally called a tracker. Could I possibly get more?
And a lot of it's already built. It's already built in, so it's kind of like extra software for, I guess, no reason, unless they're looking for extra features that the internal app doesn't offer. That's the only way I can see someone actually really like installing that software. If it's like, because there's some native apps in either Android or iPhone, and for example, with if you're like running or you're into physical fitness, and it's like you have your heart rate and everything else within the activity app, right? But you might need that. You might be looking for something a little bit more granular, more in detail. And I think that's where a lot of the third parties come in to download it. Even though they do majority of the same thing, it's always usually a user that wants to download it for like that one extra feature.
Or the social aspect, right? Like on
That
a lot
too.
of those running tracking things, it's like an accountability tool. Your friend just ran 15 miles. Get your act together. Get out there.
Get it together.
But
What's
I mean, I don't know.
But
What's
saying
the
that in a
famous,
robotic voice.
The famous term, am I robotic? Am I good? No?
No.
No, you're good.
Oh,
I
okay.
hear.
Okay. What's the famous term? If you don't know what the product is, you're the product.
Yes,
Right?
exactly.
So
Yeah,
I feel like
that's
this
true.
is just that right off the bat. It is interesting though, like you said, there's only 3 people working there. So I think that aspect
Says a
that
lot.
it's a startup, right? I will say I'm also interested in the astrology point. I know I've read several articles about how I'm wondering if the astrology is just marketing. That's just because more women are into astrology than men. So
Yes.
it's like
Well,
added feature.
astrology is a feature, like Charles said. It's if you add that, it's like, oh well,
Then they get
it
in.
doesn't tell me that my prediction for the month. Like I need that, right? Like a lot of people want that kind of like positive reinforcement or like that kind of thing, which is a feature that gets people to put in all their data and then. Because it's got to be accurate. You got to put in your birth date exactly right, or if it's going to be the wrong.
You need your
you're gonna be-
social. You need your dog.
data.
your social.
He said the social.
It needs the time when you were born.
Yes,
Right.
exactly.
That's so creepy.
Yes.
And the doctor that held you.
Your
Like,
birth weight and your birthstone, and yeah, exactly.
Does this
The
data count as
location
HIPAA?
of where you were born in some cases.
Yeah.
Does
So,
this
I mean, that's
data-
a lot of data. That's a ton of extra data that they're collecting on people by asking those types of questions.
That's a good question about whether it's HIPAA. Like,
Is it HIPAA,
I
right?
don't know. I mean,
So that was thing. I had a recent thing where like I found someone who's vulnerable with like a male version kind of this, and that was my big question. Like, is this HIPAA? And they said no, but
it is not.
but
I just
it's
Googled
not.
it.
You
I
Googled
just
it?
did
Oh,
a
it's
hot
not
Google.
HIPAA.
It's not HIPAA. Okay.
Ooh. So
That's shocker. Not
Yeah.
No,
predicting
because
right.
It's
it's
not
because
HIPAA.
you're allowing them to share it on. You're saying I'm allowing you to share this. I am giving
Oh,
permission for
okay.
people to do this. That kills any HIPAA right there.
Yeah, that's correct. It's not HIPAA. And that was actually laid out in the FTC article that I read about Flow, is that these health apps that you are sharing all this health data with aren't under HIPAA like obligations. So, but they are still under the obligation to be truthful about who they're sharing your data with, just like everybody else, and what data they're collecting.
Right.
So-
Hence the FTC fines.
Right. And that's my concern about this application is like, I think they are violating FTC guidelines because they are not being truthful about what data they're collecting, how they're storing it, how they're making money. And like, and it just, they're saying encryption, but I'm like, you're only encrypting a portion of this data. But you're misleading people to believe that all of this data is encrypted and that the data can't be de-anonymized, which we know is not true.
Right. Those claims, the encryption wall. I mean, that's got to be fraud in and of itself. Like,
I mean,
can you please prove what an encryption wall is?
I'm going to use that now for like the rest of the year. Just like when
it'd be like,
I have an encryption wall. It's impenetrable.
Good luck hacking me. I've got an encryption wall.
That's going to be the encryption wall is the brand new big thing out there. It's going to overtake Zero Trust.
Yeah.
So wait, hold on. Can a cloud go over the wall though? Because isn't like cloud just floating in the air?
Great point. Yeah,
like it's not a great even as a buzzword, it's not even good.
It's an anti-climb wall. I gotta know.
Is it a wall that goes higher than the cloud? I don't understand.
Could you imagine that'll be a commercial and you too can have your crypto wall today?
Wow, sign Charles up. He's in.
Well, so one of my favorite things that's coming from this though is that there's a bunch of men who are downloading these applications and putting in bogus and fake data.
Uh-oh.
And so there was like one guy who's like, "Yeah, everyone, let's download it. I've had my 3rd period this month." So they're just using it super like chaotically and just putting whatever like, BS info in there.
Our algorithms can't cope.
As soon as I say encryption wall, though, I'm literally just thinking of there's got to be some open API that you can just hit, right? Like that's.
Oh my goodness.
That's pretty much what I feel like is there. I just no one's found it yet, right? Like.
That's the other concern is data leaks. Even without law enforcement or sharing it with like there's potential. It's a 3-person company. I am concerned about security. Like there's potential of data leaks.
Data leaks or just using the app itself to distribute phishing or malware or whatever, right? Like
my God. I bet you they'll only have rate limiting configured with that API.
I mean, imagine the ads you could get with like the astrology element. It's like Virgos this month need to buy extra Lululemon leggings. Like, okay, what? Like, no, that's not my prediction. That's just an ad.
That would be enough for me to go buy more Lululemon.
You're like, it's in my thing.
I'd be like, look, science. I don't know.
It has like a tiny thing that says it's an ad. So,
moral to the story. Obviously be careful what you're sharing, right?
Yes.
And again, the aproposness of, what's going on, just be cognizant, right? So with that said, what about ransomware? There's actually an interesting one that I want to talk about real quick. I know we always end up talking about ransomware, but this one's kind of interesting. So Lockbit is introduced. Yeah, you got it. Lockbit 3.0, and it has the first ransomware bug bounty, right? So I guess this is the new version of the operation. And check this out. So there's some minor tweaks or whatever, but with this new version, the operation has introduced the first bug bounty program offered by ransomware gang, asking security researchers to submit bug reports in return for rewards ranging from $1,000 to $1 million, right? Ooh. So let me know how buggy our ransomware is, right?
Does the money come from victims? Because that seems kind of cyclical.
Yeah. First of all, the name scares me. Lockbit. Like
that logo is good, right?
Yeah.
Like
they worked on that for a while.
They should change it to Lockbite for the 4.0.
They got on the Fiverr. Also,
this would make a great phishing campaign.
Also,
so Lockbit is the as a service, right? It's the one you can go and buy.
I think so. Yeah. It also they're up. This is like a feature. I mean, they're about to have their own Lockbit WWC here, but they have a Zcash payment option now that they're adding. So they have different icons for Monroe and Bitcoin and Zcash. I mean, I'm just this is developing. I mean, anytime you get ransomware as a service, it's going to continue to add features, and there's financial incentive to make sure it's secure now with bug bounty programs, right? You think HackerOne's going to accept them?
I don't think so. I think my take on this is just another desperate cry from ransomware to try to look legitimate. I mean, it reminds me of like when the Colonial Pipeline thing happened. They're like, we're gonna revise our terms of service so that like we don't want infrastructure companies getting hit. We already don't allow healthcare companies. It's like we're super legit. That's like me being like, yeah, I'll just go beat up anyone, but I will not beat up a kid. Okay, I have standard. Like it doesn't make any sense. Like that, it's just a cry. I mean, honestly, it's kind of funny because it's like if someone did find a bug, they should not bug bounty it. They should be like, "Hey, everyone, there's a decryption key." Like, you know what I mean? Like it's just so crazy. I think it's just a desperate cry for it's publicity. It's publicity for them and like trying to look legitimate when they're really just like some random, hackers.
Yeah, it's funny though. They actually have like a whole categories for their bugs. So they have like website bugs, locker bugs, brilliant ideas. For doxing, it says, and I'm a little confused
doxing
about what
bugs.
this. Yes, no, hold on. Let me read this. We pay exactly $1 million, no more and no less, for doxing the affiliate program boss. Whether you're an FBI agent or a very clever hacker who knows how to find anyone, you can write us a tox messenger, give us your boss's name, and get 1 million in Bitcoin or Monero.
That is insane. I mean, that's I don't even
I don't know.
That's so funny. I mean, you realize what that is? That's an ad because you'd have to purchase Lockbit to figure out who your Lockbit client manager or whatever they're called, like who they are. That's what they're saying is you have to purchase it to figure out who your affiliate, who you're talking to, who you're talking.
Do you think they have like POCs and stuff?
And
they promise features and then never come out with them.
Well, that's what he's saying. That's exactly that's what the bug bounty implies is that you have to sign up and then you have to figure out who you're working with and dox them.
You've been promising me that you're going to accept Moreno for the past 5 years, and now they're finally.
Oh my gosh!
I mean, I'd like to remind everyone this is not a legitimate business. It's not legal.
What? It sounds legitimate. They have a bug bounty program. That's better than some other companies.
Also, and the logo looks amazing.
Honestly, if you're paying for ransomware, you really suck because lots of it have been leaked. But
that was really mean to a lot of people who've gone through a lot of stuff.
Dude, honestly, I would not be surprised if we have a client in the next year ask us to buy it and use it on their network. It's one of those things we just have to say, no, we're not going to do that. I know why you care, but we have another way of doing it that doesn't involve giving money to criminals. Or locking your entire network and then, oops.
Yeah. So anyways, crypto or ransomware is evolving and they're looking for ideas and bug bounties and all this other stuff. And wow, this is a weird world that we live into. So
we had talked previously about did we talk about the Capital One thing going to trial? I feel like we did.
I don't remember talking about it.
So there was a conviction.
Okay. No, I don't think we talked about this.
Is it on there? I didn't see.
Yeah. It's on there. Techmonitor.ai.
All right. Good. Control F.
Super legit.
All right. Talk about it then. Give it to us. What's the story?
Well, there was a conviction, which means you're guilty, I think. I'm not a lawyer. Is the link posted?
I don't know. I'm still looking for it. There we go.
A former AWS engineer, which I like how they lead with that. They're like, this person knew how the cloud worked.
He invented the cloud.
Was convicted over a hack, the Capital One hack. Paige Thompson developed a tool to identify misconfigured AWS accounts and stole customer data from Capital One and others. So 7 counts of fraud after the personal data of 100 million people was stolen from Capital One.
Fined $80 million.
They were so that's fun. I don't know how that exactly works, but they did. It cost them 190 mil. I haven't gotten any of that. I'm still waiting. But basically, building a tool that I think all it was is just querying the metadata service, right? It was like SSRF or whatever. And then sentence in September. So 7 counts of fraud.
Wow.
It's painful.
This is weird to see someone get in trouble.
Well,
it's unheard of.
It's someone based in the US, first of all.
Yeah, so that helps. I mean, hurts them. I mean, helps punishment abilities, right? You know, a lot of times we hear about a hack or something like that, and you know, when they're not in the U.S., it's significantly more difficult to prosecute, even if it's egregious enough that the government knows exactly who did it. They just can't do anything, right?
Well, so they did trace her via a Slack channel in which she claimed to possess the stolen data. She also talked about her intention to check into a psychiatric institution. So I don't really know how that plays into it, but they just threw that into the article as a little fun.
Played insanity.
An interesting note about that, where the U.S. government, how you mentioned, said that they know who did it, but they can't really do anything about it. And that's what happened to Marcus Hutchins. He had a sealed indictment that the U.S. had on him, and basically when he came to the US for DEF CON, they unsealed the indictment and got him while he was here. So I mean, they had known for a while, and they just waited till he came to the US to. So
this has actually happened a bunch of times too. If you listen to any of the Darknet Diaries, like the one with the I believe it was the was it LinkedIn breach or the other one too. There's been a couple. Anyways, there have been multiple times where they've arrested people in Prague, for example. They're Russians and they know exactly who did it, but they just can't get them until, they go to the wrong country or something like that. And so, a lot of that happens. So it is kind of interesting. You're like, no one ever gets in trouble. They're just staying in the right place. In some cases, this is Russia for this example. But yeah, so it is definitely interesting.
All right, what do you guys think about the 311 cybersecurity emergency call line for small businesses?
I have no idea what it is. Let me know.
Is there a cool jingle that goes with it?
Ding, 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 ding.
Call 311 if you get hacked.
It's by The Record.
Oh, wow. Is that the artist too? So the jingle for the art? I mean, you guys are...
Wow.
I'm scrolling here looking for this article as well, so... Oh, okay. I see it. Finally, it took a second.
We have way too many articles.
We have a lot.
Yeah.
Why did so many things happen?
Shout out to the news crew.
Shout out to the news crew for filling us up with tons of articles. Emergency 311 cybersecurity call line for incidents affecting small and medium-sized businesses. So does this work right now? So I can just press 311 and...
No, I think it's a proposal.
It's a proposal. Okay.
It's a proposal,
All right.
yeah.
Sorry. I haven't read this article, so I'm just...
I feel so bad for whoever has to answer those calls.
That's
okay,
to
set the stage, this is CISA, who we like in general. We trust.
How many phone calls are they going to get saying like Windows needs to update?
I think we could just simulate a call right on. I think we could just role play one right now.
Yeah,
hello, this is CISA. What is your emergency?
My computer needs the update. I've been calling and Microsoft said I'm out of...
It's like help desk.
This is I can only imagine the ramifications. I don't know how they would even filter like figuring out who's like.
Is this like 911? If you call, they have to send someone there.
What would they do? Send a hard drive, image your servers, and send them back to us? Like
they give you a USB drive, just plug it in, and then you just.
They give you the silver bullet. They're like, install this on your network.
Oh my gosh, that is.
So the statistics are pretty interesting. It says U.S. and organizations are being attacked 868 times per week.
Where did they get that stat?
That's fun. And then in June, they've seen an average of over 27 cyber attacks per small and medium business each week.
So what do you think the hold time is going to be on this thing?
We are expecting unusual call volume.
We are expecting unusual call volume at all times. Please leave a message.
I will say they're going to have some hilarious filters like, are you actively being ransomwared? Press 1. Does your computer work? Press 2. Does your phone work? Press 3.
Ryan brought up a good point. Where would this call center be? Because then you don't know.
Totally India, definitely.
The call center, no. I think the call center would have to be. This is probably government funded, right?
Yeah. So I mean, I think the idea is the idea seems right.
Well,
right?
what would they?
Seems useful, but
well, the question is, what would they do? Would they tell people what to do? Would they be like? Would they go into incident response and be like, "All right, turn off the internet at your whole company," or would they just? Is it just statistics reporting? I don't really know what they're.
Would it be a good entry level security job for people trying to get in?
Reading through the article, at one spot they say that it's an emergency call line and clinics for assistance, but later on it says it's a push for more robust incident reporting. So are they going one way or are they going the other? If they're doing clinics, how are they doing clinics? Is this just a basic, hey, we've got a problem, we need some more help here, can you point us in the right direction? Or is this actually going to be a triage type situation with incident responders on the other end of the line saying, okay, this is what we need you to do before you go any further?
It
I
seems
imagine
like
a doctor's office, you bring your computer in.
Reading between the lines, that'd be pretty funny. Bring your network in. Okay, we have 8,000 servers. But yeah, the subtext, like reading between the lines, this is my opinion, but it says, a tiny fraction are being reported. We don't even know what the numbers are. It seems more reporting statistics based than it is like a clinic. Although it would be pretty funny if it's like some, tier 1 level help desk person. Have you tried turning it off and on again? Oh yeah, it's ransomware. So it already turned itself off. Thanks. I can only imagine, someone, trying to work at this help desk. We've been hacked. Okay. How do you know? Our computer's rebooted. Okay. Has your power been consistent? There was a thunderstorm on Friday night.
The mouse moves by itself sometimes, and
this is more serious than we thought. You need to come in right now.
My Bonzi buddy stopped working. Is that good or bad?
There was one time, so I used to work at Apple at the Genius Bar, and so you get like ridiculous stuff all the time. But there was one person that came in, and this is when the Do Not Disturb feature had come out on iPhone, and people would accidentally click it all the time and not realize that they clicked it, and they're like, my phone's not ringing when I'm getting calls.
Yeah.
And there was one time I was like, oh yeah, you have your Do Not Disturb turned on, so I turned it off. And he rated me 1 star because I solved his problem too quickly.
Oh my God.
And this was almost 10 years ago, and I still remember, and I'm still mad about it.
That is annoying. He wanted you to like walk around in a circle with his phone being like, we will cleanse the chakras of the phone. Okay. Let me plug in this diagnostic device. It just had phones. You're like, oh
yeah. He's like, I drove all this way for it to just be solved in 5 seconds like that. And I was like,
yeah. The review said 1 star, exists. I am stupid. That's basically what the review said.
You probably set off a whole wave of angry geniuses like, that happened to me too. I got the 1 star. I got the 1 star.
Yeah. I guess
have chakras.
if you are job hunting and CISA is hiring for like information technology assistant or cybersecurity assistant, don't do it. You don't want to answer the phone. No one wants to answer these.
No, it's the perfect entry level. Imagine you triaging a million things. This is just pretty much like that SOC analyst who works at one of those MSPs, and you get all the initial stuff and you hear everything bad ever, and then you go do an interview somewhere else and leave. That's what I would imagine the only good thing about this would kind of be, is it'd be a good entry level, get your foot in the door, and all you read is SOPs all day.
Yeah, but you're assuming that they're actually reporting real breaches and not just like my computer rebooted and I think I got hacked.
That's all part of that, but that's a good thing to learn how to do for a blue teamer, is to know the difference between one of those false positives and a real thing going on.
That's true. That's true. So, all right, I flip. You're right.
I go through all the day.
I recant my statement. Everyone go work for CISA. And let me call you, please. Like, tell me when you're working, and I will call in and be like, "Hello, I've been breached. I think it's a virus."
My encryption wall is down.
It's down. So how did it happen? They probably don't want to talk to me. They'll be like, "This guy's too happy. Get him out of here. Let's get somebody. Get this."
I need someone that sounds annoyed.
Yes.
It takes a long time to solve my problem. Do not solve.
When I was working at TAC, I would be the engineer to pick up the call, and they would think I was like just supposed to be routing them, because I would answer and I'd be like, "Hey, like, what's going on? How can I help you?" And they're like, "I'm waiting for an engineer," and I'm like, "Oh, it's me."
You found one.
The help desk can be brutal, though. Like the support desk can be brutal. Those calls. Like and I got told this one time, "This must be your first day, because I can tell by your voice you're excited." I'm like, "No, I've been here for a while. I don't know how you do it, man. Can you please transfer me?" I'm like, Literally, yeah. Said this must be my first day. Yeah, those calls are brutal.
I mean, I will say it'd be interesting to see if companies just get rid of their help desk and they're just like, just use CISA. They've got it. You want your password reset? You want your password reset? Call CISA.
You know, at that point, the wait time is going to be out the roof. Like,
Press 6 if you're a government employee.
Yes.
Yeah.
Your estimated wait time is 2.5 years.
Your estimated wait time is 2.5 years.
Talk about dwell times going up.
Jingle, so you can like jam out to the
hold music. Yeah.
They'll just have Darknet Diaries going through the whole library as you listen.
How long have you been on hold? I'm on episode 47.
When does it start? 1.
If you haven't taken your cybersecurity training, please hold.
If you got phished, press 1 now. That was a test. You just got phished. Yeah, there's a thing that's like, enter your social security number now. And then if you enter anything, it's like, you have failed the security awareness check.
Wow. That would be, yeah.
Speaking of phishing, do you guys see the new clever phishing method for bypassing MFA? Again, we're doing it again.
Again.
So
MFA protected everyone from all evil.
This is using Microsoft WebView 2 apps. So in essence, what it is, it's like a website inside of a website. And
everyone needs that feature.
Yes, everyone does need this feature. Okay. And so this allows So the weird thing about this is that it's a Microsoft Edge WebView 2 cookie stealer. So what happens is you still have to execute something on your host, right? So it's not necessarily like just a URL, but that opens up a page inside of a page, and they can capture the session data that already exists on your host, right? Okay. So if you had already logged into my Office or whatever, it could capture that session data and put it onto your and send it back to the attacker, right? So it's not quite as like easy as just sending a URL, but if the user's already logged in, as soon as they execute this, it'll open up a session, and if they're not logged in, it'll prompt for a login. If they are logged in, it should send the session data back to the attacker.
That seems really awesome.
That's pretty cool.
Yep.
I will say this is classic. Another feature that no one asked for that Microsoft provided that can be used by attackers.
Yeah, this is like one of those things where now I have to go look up what WebView 2 was made for, and I'm sure it wasn't this. Okay.
That was the first thing I did.
People are going to be up late. Docs.microsoft.com, WebView 2.
Yes. So
for everyone that's like, oh yeah, I totally needed that Kerberos ticket to be encrypted with RC4 for some reason.
Is a POC already out for this, which I just put it in the chat here. And so in there you can kind of see the wonderful GIF of how it works, right? So you could make some executable that looks like a Microsoft Word update or something like that, right? And then go ahead and capture session data that way.
I will say, if it has to be an executable, why don't I just do C2 instead?
I
might as well.
Not that it isn't cool.
Okay, so that's fair. Why don't I just do C2 if I have to make it an executable? If I can get session data and access Office 365 account, there might be more valuable data on SharePoint than there is on your damn computer.
It's probably less detectable.
Yeah.
Pretty cool.
So, watch out. Don't execute things you're not supposed to execute. I don't know. I mean, like the scenario goes, I mean, if everyone can be social engineered. So, I mean, if you can make this scenario look legitimate enough to need this, then, that may
right now there's millions of malware detection engineers figuring out how to signaturizing these things.
Yes. WebView 2 is about to be an IOC. All right.
If you're having trouble detecting WebView 2 exploitation, press 5 now.
This is the same guy who did the browser in the browser attack.
Yeah, the VNC or the web VNC.
I swear I've seen this before. In that.
Yeah.
Web this VNC guy really hates Microsoft.
Hate them.
Love this guy or girl, whoever they are.
They're a gift to the community.
It's his. I guess their name is Mr. Docs. That kind of gives it away, but
I just say I love their account.
Yeah.
Those.
Until GitHub's like, this is too powerful. We got to take this down.
Yeah. It's not you. It's me.
This is why every time I see a GitHub, just archive it. Get it?
Just archive it.
Yeah. Just clone it and save it somewhere.
You know what we really need? We need like I hate to use this word, decentralized Git repository, right?
We tried to do that. And no one cares.
Yeah. Well,
there's probably like hackers.gitlab.io or something that.
No. Like decentralized. Like you could just set up like a node, but it's still like, so like the reason why we all use GitHub or
Keybase can do it with the repos.
Yeah. No, I was just going to say the reason why we use the, GitHub, for example, is because, it becomes like the big source and we, everyone else is there. Just like it's a platform, right? It's the platform more than it is that necessarily GitHub is the best or the only one that can do this stuff, because GitLab and there's other ones. But I guess my point is that a platform that's not necessarily owned by GitHub and that, you just set up a pie and you're part of, but everyone uses the same URL. So it'd be like the same thing. You're all just going to GitHub, but that repo happens to be on someone else's system too. Does that make sense? So
yeah, I mean, you could do it with Keybase, but you'd have to make a public team.
There would still need to be a web interface. Anyways, now we're just like think tanking how to, make a decentralized. So, we're going off the rails. Sorry.
That's news for another day when GitHub revises their malware policy again.
When we get forced into a deep hole and we have to go to somewhere else. Yeah,
it'll happen.
There we go.
I already hear the rumblings. There's that like 1 million comment long thread about the malware policy and all that crap.
Jesus.
And Twitter being a frenzy.
Yeah.
What else happened?
Did
anything else happen?
A lot of stuff has happened. So I guess Google has a CTF that's going on.
I saw that.
Yeah. So I guess it's a pretty big one. So
interesting.
If you're looking to do a probably pretty decent CTF.
You're looking to work for Google but not get paid.
Yeah, exactly. This is called a job application, but they just renamed it to CTF. Yeah, it's a clever way to do that.
Let's see. What are the prizes?
What are the prizes?
It says
$40,000
in the previous years.
What? No, that's
that was
the whole
pool.
No,
that was the pool.
The pool stands previous years.
Wait, we're talking about Google here? Okay, let's Google. Wait, why am I Googling? Let's DuckDuckGo.
Google. Oh, God. You Googled Google? You're going in a circle.
DuckDuckGo, what is their profits? Because $40,000 is like 2 seconds of income. That's a pittance.
That's like 3 clicks.
That's like 3 clicks.
We should make a CTF super team and just
a CTF super team.
I guess hopefully it's fun. Is it fun at least, or is it just grinding on like encryption?
There always is a CTF super team, by the way. So if there are like
the black badge winners only team.
Those guys just do that, and they just go around doing competitions. And like they actually can make decent money doing all these competitions working together, because a lot of the other people who are competing in the competition are like, this would be fun. And they're like, no,
you're not
this is
doing
like
it
job,
in this case.
dude. I'm 9 to 5 on this, dude. I got a guy coming right at 5 to take over for me, and we're gonna kill it,
So basically, this is for people that want to do it for fun, because it seems like $40,000 for the amount of work that I presume you're gonna have to put in is ridiculous. But
you'd be surprised.
The prizes for first are $13K, second is $7K, or third for $3K.
If you're smart enough to do the CTF and win, you can 1099 for $200 an hour. Just saying. I just want everyone to know that.
Yeah. Once the prizes get up there,
But I think it's more about fun and like, show street cred.
Sure.
It's resume building stuff, right? Like if you do a good write up and put it on your blog, and
there's a lot of reusability in that. Yes, absolutely. How I solved this challenge, right?
What if the challenge is just write a better version of Google search?
You can't write a better version of Google search. It's the best.
They have rewards for the best write-ups.
They absolutely do. So yeah, CTF's going on. Do you guys see about this? I always love these ones. And sorry if you have a QNAP, but there is a critical PHP flaw in QNAP that exposes device to RCE attacks, right? This is like ripe for ransomware. Well, like this right here is a ransomware starter, right? So I guess there's a PHP vulnerability, and it's a 3-year-old critical PHP vulnerability that is in these NAS devices. And so it affects a bunch of the QNAP OSs. And, shocker, QNAP device targeted by ransomware. So if you don't know what a QNAP is, similar to a Synology. It's like a little NAS device for your home, so you can save all your data at your house as opposed to in the cloud, and it's yours, right? But obviously, these run a full Linux operating system, and updates can be not as good, or security can be not quite as tight. Also, these devices tend to be put online because that's kind of like the feature, right? Like it's on the line, it's online all the time, so I can access my data. So
UPnP, what could go wrong?
Exactly. So when these vulnerabilities come out, they're ripe for attack by obviously ransomware groups and other things like that. A lot of the advisories immediately go to disable port forwarding function of your router.
Yeah, we've talked about this kind of vulnerabilities a lot. And the thing that we've said more than anything is if you are purchasing one of these devices, make sure that it has automatic updates that you can enable so that it's always patched, because most people that are in the market for a device that is simple and off the shelf and just goes in their network and doesn't have to do, their own TrueNAS or whatever. Most people that are in that are not going to be manually updating, patching, and like applying things like there's some IT person. So make sure it just self-updates. Then you don't have to worry about this crap.
The other thing too to consider if you are going to go down this route is set up some kind of VPN and then use that to connect back. There's a bunch of different choices for that, and as opposed to open it publicly over the internet, right? It's simple. You don't have to pay for any of these, and there's a bunch of different options to allow you to access your data remotely and not really have to expose that device to some vulnerability. So even if it is vulnerable, you'd have to VPN to access that vulnerability. So just some things to consider with these, right? Synology's had it. Synology's had these vulnerabilities as well. All of them have been affected recently. There's been high reward for ransomware operators to find these vulnerabilities, and then usually they exploit them and ransomware a bunch of systems, but in turn that lets the
they're good botnet hosts because they're always online. They run outdated software, and they usually are internet connected. It's just a common.
Yep, they're a good target. So we'll probably see more vulnerabilities come out for these devices because there's a financial incentive to find them. So,
for the person that thought 40K was a lot for Google CTF, we talked about a ransomware provider that has larger bug bounties.
Yeah,
like on the same news.
1 million, no less, for doxing.
There you go.
So maybe or Zerodium will buy your Windows 0 Day for $2 million or something. So. Or crypto, you can get 100 mil bounty if you do.
Crypto. I'm not even going to go to that. We'll save it till the CoinSec podcast. But there's been a bunch of big hacks recently with crypto. But
sometimes the creators just plead with the attacker. All right, give us half of it back, please. Just keep the 50 million and give us the other 50 million.
Why you got to do me like this? But yeah.
So wait. Italian spyware hacked Apple and Android phones?
No.
Mamma mia.
All right. What's the
last
story?
Last article, probably.
Yep. The Japanese man who lost all the government data.
Oh, that one too. I forgot about that one.
Ooh.
Okay, wait, we could do that one instead.
Yeah.
Who cares about hacking iPhones and Androids?
But the way he even said it was just like intriguing. Like,
if he would have just kept it on his QNAP, he would have been fine.
I know, dude. You know what? I love it. Way to bring that one around, right? You're closing the story.
As a QNAP owner, yeah.
So the Japanese man loses USB stick with entire city's personal details. One, why? Does he have a USB stick that has all of the personal details of like this town?
I'm honestly shocked it's a USB stick and not a bunch of papers, because knowing how Japan does things with stamps and old school like bureaucracy stuff, I'm surprised it wasn't like a bunch of dot matrix printed papers.
Two, I'm shocked that this guy is free.
Well, listen, getting drunk and doing stupid things is not illegal, all right?
Do you think it was like a big tech stock and that was it? Just like a
Oh no, it was
8
definitely a
gig USB
Microsoft
drive.
Access. It was an MDB. I'll put money
Oh
on
my
it.
goodness.
Oh my gosh. Yes.
Excel
It was just one
document.
big Excel document. So
Yeah.
I guess he was out drinking, got too drunk, and someone stole his bag with this USB stick. He had transferred the personal information of the entire city's residents onto the drive on Tuesday evening before meeting colleagues for a night on the town. And so I guess it included names, birth dates, address of all city's residents, including more sensitive information, including tax details, bank account numbers, and information on families receiving Social Security.
So, okay, what is the flow here?
Wait, hold on.
Because-
Hold
so-
on. Important part here. City officials said the data contained on the drive is encrypted and locked with a password. It's probably password.
No, it's a password protected spreadsheet. That does not count. Okay. Okay. Wait. Okay. Hold on. So here's my question. So, okay. Dude goes out drinking, gets drunk, gets his bag stolen, wakes up, realizes, does he tell the city? Okay. So he's like, I messed up. That's probably what happens, right? But why do they go public? Why are they like, if you stole a bag, make sure you don't open this spreadsheet? Like, I don't, like, are they just, or is it required that they disclose this maybe? Or I'm not really sure, but it's just funny to me that they would publicize it. Because if most people, if they just stole a random person's bag and it had a USB, they'd be like, plug it in. Oh, there's no like money wallet.dat. Okay, throw it away or whatever. You know, like they wouldn't care. But now there's this article that says someone stole a bag and it has all of the government's information on it. Now I'm like, all right, how do I use Hashcat? How do I get it? Like, you know, I just, it's, I feel like announcing it, unless it's required by law that they announce data breaches or whatever, it's such a bad thing to do because now whoever stole it knows they have something that's actually really valuable, where before they're probably just like, oh, I don't care about this old dude's you know, whatever crappy file you know, Excel documents or whatever.
I mean,
like,
but who still like carries around USB drives to like move
every single person in that city who stole a bag that day is just like looking for a USB drive.
They should have used the SharePoint list, honestly. I think that would have.
I will say, if you have this, I bet you I can tell you how to crack it. No, I'm just kidding.
He's not, but he is. This is just
that's.
wild,
I mean,
though.
like someone mentioned, companies need a flash drive policy in place. That's a great point. Why was he allowed to just copy all the data onto, you know?
Why did the city have all that data?
I smell an inside job.
Well, the city would need the data for like tax administration or other things.
Why
like,
does he need it on a USB drive anywhere?
Probably to bypass an air gap, which someone else said, right?
Yeah,
like someone else said, like there's like a secure air gap
during
system.
certain hours, and he needed to work on it in the evening or something.
Yeah, dude, you know how it is. You got to if you're gonna honestly, if you're gonna open up like a 2 gig Excel or Microsoft Access database, like you might want to be a little bit intoxicated for that, because you do not want to do that sober.
It all makes sense. It's all come together.
It's all coming together.
So what are the lessons here? First, you should have some kind of USB, not just policy, but some kind of control to prevent USB devices from just...
Second, you should use something centralized in the first place that isn't a document that contains everything.
Like SharePoint.
Unless you want it to be ransomware, just like SharePoint.
You should totally use SharePoint. It's not an Abyssian nightmare to find your files 10 minutes after they were uploaded.
God. The search
just pivots to the next article where SharePoint can now get hit and ransomed.
No way.
That's impossible. Well, honestly, I feel like SharePoint has been ransomed by Microsoft because it's just impossible to find anything anyway.
Yeah, but you can't leave because you can't find it, right? Like you could lose it. That's why you can't leave SharePoint anymore. They got you in.
Like, honestly, if Microsoft contacts you and says, we can show you where your files are on SharePoint, pay 200 Bitcoins, I think a lot of companies would do it.
I believe it.
So what is this? Is this just a, like, basically there's an API endpoint or something that lets you encrypt or protect
so I
files
think on
or something?
SharePoint there's a way to encrypt your own files. So assuming that you were malicious attacker and you were able to access this, you could actually encrypt the files in SharePoint with a built-in functionality, so you don't need to make your own ransomware.
Right.
And then you could technically just do the other piece, right? Which is like, I have the key, ha ha ha, all your files are encrypted, thanks Microsoft, and it costs XYZ to get the key back.
That is fascinating and terrifying. Fascinating? I don't know how to
Fascinating.
I don't. tyrannizing. I don't know.
Tyrannizing.
I'm not doing this properly. But
Yeah,
It sounds like
is,
a feature that Lockbit needs to incorporate.
They really
Yes.
do. I'm
Dude,
actually
they
going to
gotta
submit a
change that.
feature. I'm going to go on my web. Hold on. Let me go on my web
$9
portal here and
bounty right
request
there.
a feature.
Look for the suggestion box.
Just when you encrypt your data, include a little thing that says for you.txt and they'll know.
For you.txt. So obviously Microsoft made this with the best intentions because they want you to be able to encrypt your data so you can have sensitive data on SharePoint. But obviously if the wrong person takes over your account, then they could use that to ransomware you. So encryption's bad. We just got to turn it off.
Built-in ransomware. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you, Microsoft.
I mean, a cloud native ransomware, that's got to be in the marketing materials for Lockbit now, right? Like,
Yes, cloud native. Yeah.
They should put that on there. They should put that on their page. Lockbit 3.0, the first cloud native ransomware.
They use blockchain too, so it works perfect. You know,
They do.
Can't
They use
detect you. They can't detect it.
But every ransomware does that. How many are cloud native?
Yes. They only
Special
support
ingredient.
SharePoint right now, but they're looking for Google support next.
That's coming up in version 3.5.
You're right.
Oh no.
ETA 2023.
So disable this if you're not using it, because I can imagine that somebody might try to use this against you if they get the right kind of permissions, right?
So wait, so it's abusing the autosave feature, right? So if you turn that off, am I just going to lose all my reports that I was trying to write, but then my computer crashed because it's running Microsoft Windows?
Yes, to everything you said.
Oh god. So basically, it's one of those situations where if you disable this feature, you could lose legitimate business documents, and if you leave it enabled, then you could, get the old fun ransom point, whatever we're calling it.
Ransom point.
Ooh.
Okay, that's my new ransomware. No one take that. I'm going to.
No one take it. He's working on it right now.
I have
Ransom-
a new.
I'm
sure I can. Do you think I can? Does anyone think I can get VC funding for ransomware?
I'm thinking like a backwards R with the P on it, right?
Oh,
Ransom
yes.
point.
And
ransom
Corey
point.
starts his new VC-funded 3-person company.
VC funding. What's your business model?
Policy.
What's your business model?
Oh my god.
Yeah,
Astrology
here's
and ransomware.
What's your business model? Crime. Crime. That's my business model. It's just crime.
It's very simple what we do here. It's crime. That's how we make money.
Your crime with the moon phases.
Yeah,
that's true. Your future says your files may be lost.
You can only steal from Gemini this week. Make sure they're Gemini.
That's okay. I can use the API. Let me query the Stardust API. I can find all the Gemini's email addresses, birth date.
Oh gosh. Thank you, Microsoft, and thank you guys for showing up today. It was fun. We got to talk about some good stuff. So I guess let's shoot this down with fire. Let's go.
Have a good week.